Iraqi forces have an ambitious goal this year to flush out Daesh from their stronghold of Mosul. Operations have already begun to retake villages south of the city, while a much bigger offensive has been launched to retake Fallujah, closer to the capital. But combating Daesh is an enormous undertaking, even with the backing of US-led airstrikes. There are a number of complexities on the ground, as Nicole Johnston reports from northern Iraq.
Over the last year, the Iraqi army, slowly but surely, has been battling Daesh to recapture major cities from the group. First was Tikrit, the hometown of Saddam Hussein. Next, Ramadi. The latest battle is for Fallujah. And eventually, the biggest offensive of all will be to take back Mosul, Iraq's second largest city, home to 1.5 million people. But to succeed in Fallujah, Iraqi forces need the support of the Sunnis of the Anbar province. Without it, Fallujah could slide back into the hands of groups like Daesh, who exploit Sunni anger and frustration with the Shia-led government in Baghdad. Iraq has been here before. In 2005, when the Al-Qaeda insurgency was tearing the country apart with suicide bombings and attacks, a coalition of Sunni armed groups rose to Iraq's defence. They were called the Awakening Council, or Sahwa. They're also known as the Sons of Iraq. The US paid them to fight, and at its peak there were 100,000 fighters. And working with coalition forces, they defeated Al-Qaeda. 10 years later, a new generation is being trained. This time the enemy isn't Al-Qaeda, but Daesh. In northern Iraq, men from the Nineveh plains around Mosul with no battle experience have been given weapons. Once Fallujah is secured, Iraqi troops will be redeployed to the north, and the battle for Mosul will begin. There's one more major group to be reckoned with in Iraq, and that's the Popular Mobilisation Forces, or Hashd al-Shabi. These Shia fighters are battling Daesh, providing security in Baghdad and surrounding the outskirts of Fallujah. They were established by Shia clerics a week after Daesh stormed into Iraq. They're trained and equipped by Iranian-backed militias. However, Amnesty International has accused them of human rights abuses, carrying out revenge killings against Sunnis after liberating towns and villages from Daesh. The Popular Mobilisation Forces deny it. They are now backed by the Iraqi government. It's made them an official force and pays their salaries. As the influence of the Hashd al-Shabi grows, Iraq's battlefield is becoming crowded and ever more complicated. Nicole Johnston, The Newsmakers.
Well, joining me now to discuss Iraq's complex battlefield and the latest offensive on Daesh is retired US Army Colonel Tony Dean. He's the author of Ramadi Declassified and joins me from Boynton Beach in Florida. Thanks a lot for joining us. If recapturing Fallujah or Mosul from Daesh takes place with the killing and possibly ethnic cleansing of many Sunnis, is that a price worth paying?
I don't think so, because once the Daesh is gone, much like they rose from the ashes of Al-Qaeda in Iraq from 10 years ago, a new group will form in its place until there's some sort of political accommodation in Iraq, in my mind, between the Sunnis and the Shia.
What advice would you give to those involved, the Iraqi government and its allies, in order to achieve sustainable success here, to defeat Daesh, but to ensure that something worse doesn't rise up later on?
Well, if you look, the Sunnis in Iraq, in my mind, have lived under Al-Qaeda first and now Daesh, and they have suffered more violence than probably any other group. Although those groups are Sunni, they've been oppressing the population. And if you want to solve this problem, you got to look what has worked, and that's when there was some political accommodation in Iraq and a joint Sunni Shia government, Kurdish government, and until there's that reconciliation between the groups, this war will just keep going on in different iterations and different names, but it will continue.
Tell me how difficult it would be to take Mosul from ISIS, given the terrain and given the nature of the city as it fits into the country.
Again, my experience was in Ramadi, and we were very successful in 2006. And if you think back, Al-Qaeda in Iraq had declared Ramadi the capital of the caliphate. And we took the city back, but we did it by enlisting the population, enlisting the tribal leaders in the awakening. If you look what happened when Ramadi was taken back this last time, a year ago or so, the city was leveled. So it will be a major fight, door to door, street to street. And then the question is it worth the cost? Will there be a city left? And until, to me, the people in Iraq, especially the Sunnis, are caught between the terrorists, which are the devil they know, and a government that they don't see representative, and the devil they don't know.
Colonel Tony Dean, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us.